if you feel like deciding what to eat is just hard, like deciding what to eat is such a big deal, it's something that takes way more effort and energy than you would like to admit. Today, we are going to change that because deciding what to eat is obviously something that takes up energy because you do it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a day. But it shouldn't be taking away from your day. It shouldn't be a stressor. It shouldn't be something that is draining you. And if it's something that is draining you, we need to unpack what is going on there. So, today, what I want to talk about is what is making it so hard for you to decide what to eat and what you can do literally right now to shift things to make it easier. I think the reality is when it comes to anything like this, it's not always a hard to easy. Sometimes it is a hard to easier, and that'll make sense in a minute. But that is what we are going to do today so that you can leave food feeling hard in 2025. And 2026 can be the year where food feels easy, food feels effortless. So if that is something that sounds amazing to you, then you are absolutely in the right space. And if you are new, by the way, welcome. Pull up a chair to my table. This is a safe space where we get to talk about all of the food and body things that so many different people feel, but nobody really says. We say it here, we talk about it here, we unpack it here. So pull up a chair, introduce yourself to everybody else at the table below, and let's get into it. Before we get into it, I just have to say, I slept so weird last night. If you're watching this on video, so if I am moving weird, that's why. My neck is so incredibly kinked. The second thing that I wanted to say is that if you are watching this in real time, next week on December 18th at 12 p.m. Eastern, it's a Thursday, I'm going to be hosting a free live workshop called My 2026 Food Freedom Year, where we are going to be looking at your 2025, reflecting on 2025, how to set realistic goals for 2026 related to food and your body in a way that lifts you up, in a way that you can actually stick to, in a way that feels sustainable, and how to get that going starting as soon as December 18th. So you can wake up on January 1st already in motion towards changing and growing and becoming the best version of you. So again, that workshop is December 18th, next Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. If you're not registered yet, be sure to check out the description box and I will have the link in there. Okay, so the very first thing that we need to have a conversation about when food feels really, really hard is when you are trying to understand the reason behind food feeling hard. How are you asking that question? Because the language that you use and the questions that you ask yourself are either going to shut you down or they are going to open you up, which is why in my program Beyond Binge Eating, one of the things that I spend so much time on is helping my students in there know how to ask themselves questions, because I can ask you these questions, but if you don't know how to ask yourself these questions, then what do you do when you don't have me anymore? You're gonna feel lost. So the very first thing that we need to shift is the question that you are asking yourself. If you are asking yourself, why is deciding what to eat so hard for me? Why is it so hard for me to figure out what to eat? Why? This question is going to shut you down, and this question is going to keep you stuck, and here's why. Why? When you ask yourself why in that manner, this then becomes about your identity, and it feels very blaming. Why is it so hard for me to eat? Why do I have such a hard time eating? You're gonna get answers like, maybe because I'm indecisive, maybe because I overthink everything, maybe because I suck at cooking. Everything becomes about you. which keeps the problem extremely personal. And there's so much judgment there. This turns everything into the reason why food feels hard is because something is wrong with me. And if you are stuck and you are struggling and you feel like that is happening because something is personally wrong with you, then the problem feels permanent, right? Because if the problem is you and this is who you are, then you're not going to feel like you can change that. It's going to be like, well, this is just who I am, so this is just how things are. Food is just hard for me. That's just how it is, the end. So there's no motivation, there's no hope to change things. It just feels like food is hard because there's something wrong with me. And that thing that is wrong with me is what is making food hard. And around and around and around we go. But food is not hard because something is wrong with you. Food is hard because something else is going on. So what we need to do is we need to shift the question from why is it so hard, to what? What is making food so hard? What is making deciding what to eat feel so hard? It seems so subtle and it seems so silly. Like, how is just shifting one word really going to make that big of a difference? But just notice what you start thinking about and what you start considering when you shift from why to what. Because when you ask why, you turn inward. When you ask what, you start looking outward, which pulls you out of self-judgment and self-blame into curiosity, which is what we want. What is making it so hard for me to decide what to eat? I'm starving when it's time to eat, and then I just am trying to get food in so fast, or because I'm so tired of deciding what to eat, or because I hate what I'm eating. Notice how all of these answers is giving us information about patterns and conditions that are making it harder for you to decide what to eat. And because this isn't something about you, this is something about what is happening, we can change that. It doesn't feel fixed anymore. It doesn't feel like this is something wrong with me, so this is just how it is. It becomes, this is something that is happening, and so what can I do to shift this? If you are the problem, then nothing can change. You're not the problem. But if you believe that you're the problem, then it's gonna feel like nothing can change. But if the conditions are the problem, then we can work with that. We can change those. Now, after you have started asking the question, what is making this hard? And this goes for anything. This doesn't have to just be for food. What is making it hard for me to sit with my emotions? What is making it hard for me to talk nicer to myself? What is making it hard for me to prioritize myself? What is making it hard for me to get movement in? So many different answers. And not in a way where it's like you have all of these issues and we need to fix everything, but in this way of, if you are feeling stuck and you are so frustrated and something feels hard and you're like, I really don't feel like it should be this hard, that's when we get curious. That's when we start exploring. That's when we start looking at, okay, well, what is making this hard? So let's walk through the 5 most common things that I see that makes eating so much harder than it needs to be, and some simple tips that I'm going to give you that you can start implementing right now to make food feel easier. So I want you to think of this as a spectrum. It's not just a hard switch and an easy switch. It is a spectrum of, there are going to be things that make this easier and there are going to be things that make this harder. And when I can look at it like that, then it's not so black and white anymore, and also takes a lot of the pressure off. So the very first thing that I see pretty much across the board for why making a food decision feels so hard is because every food decision means so much. I know I've talked about this a lot before, but it's so important. Every food decision is going to mean so much when you are zoomed into each one of your meals, and when you believe that each one of your meals has the power to make or break your day, has the power to make or break your body. The reality is that we eat so many different times throughout the day. We eat so many different times throughout the week. We have so many different opportunities to eat. So if one meal isn't the most incredible, amazing, delicious meal, if one meal doesn't have all of the different macronutrients in it, if one meal that we have isn't perfect, that is fine. That's okay. We are going to be okay. We are going to remain safe. So, if you notice yourself having a really hard time deciding what to eat because every food decision means so much, there's so much pressure to get it right, the very first thing that you need to start doing is literally repeating to yourself over and over and over and over, I don't need to make this mean so much. Write it on a sticky note, put it on your fridge, put it on your pantry, put it next to your computer, put it in your car. I don't need to make this mean so much. That is going to be a little reminder to just reground you when you notice yourself making this one food decision mean so much. The next one that's going to make deciding what to eat incredibly hard is nothing sounds good. And I mean, that one's pretty self-explanatory. When nothing sounds good, then obviously it's going to be hard for you to decide what to eat. When I hit a wall and nothing is sounding good, that tells me it's time to switch it up. It's time for me to explore some new options. It's time for me to get a little bit more creative. So in the moment, if I notice myself feeling like, oh my gosh, nothing sounds good, I'm hungry right now, I need to eat something, I just choose the thing that I feel like I'm going to hate the least. Because if we go back to what I just talked about, this one meal doesn't have to mean so much. So if this is not the most incredible, amazing, delicious thing that I've ever eaten, it is going to be okay. So I choose the thing that I'm going to hate the least. And is it going to be something that I absolutely love? Probably not. But is it going to give me what I need at that moment so I can feel nourished and get back to my day? Yeah, it is. So that is in the moment. Outside of that moment, if this is a reoccurring thing, what I will do is instead of scrolling either Instagram or TikTok, I will scroll Pinterest and I will give myself just some time to explore on Pinterest what does sound good, and not from a place of collecting recipes, but from a place of what is grabbing my attention. Because sometimes nothing sounds good because you're just running through your normal options and your normal options don't sound good, and we need to just look beyond that. And so giving yourself a place where you can see different things that don't pop up in your mind because they're not your normal food things, and just taking note of the things that capture your attention and the things that you see there, and you're like, that would sound good. As you collect those and get a better idea of what does sound good, what would interest me to eat if somebody else made it and gave it to me, then you can take that and say, okay, well, what is 1 to 2 things that I can take from there and try to make this week? A big thing that I see so many people doing that backfires, it seems like it's a great idea, but oftentimes it backfires, is you try to overhaul all of your meals, and the reality is you are busy, you have a lot of things going on throughout your day, and it seems like such an amazing thing even if you buy all the groceries, but what you will likely find is that by Wednesday, taking the energy to make a new recipe is going to feel exhausting, which is why I say just start with 1 or 2 to bring in, because that can be enough to just shift things up and make things feel exciting again and make you excited about your meals again, instead of it feeling like nothing I eat sounds good. The next one that I haven't really had to navigate yet, but I've had so many of my clients have to navigate, and if you are a mom who has had to navigate this and you have extra advice that I have not mentioned that you would like to share with us, please comment below. But that is feeding a lot of different people with different preferences. If you make dinner for your family and everybody wants a different thing, everybody has an opinion on what they like and what they don't like, then yeah, it's gonna feel overwhelming and hard to decide what to make because you're trying to make everybody happy. The problem is that there is no way that you're going to make everybody happy. The thing that has helped a lot of my clients is everybody in the family gets a day to decide what they want for dinner that night. That's a win-win because that means that they are getting their night, but also that means that they are deciding for you and you don't have to decide. So there is one thing that you can do. The second thing, and this is something that I do implement, although my husband doesn't really care what we have for dinner, but what I have told myself is when I ask if he has any preferences on dinner and he says no, then if he doesn't like what I make or if he doesn't prefer what I make, I release that from my responsibility to hold. I gave him the opportunity to tell me whether or not he had any preferences. And if he didn't say anything, if he said, I don't care, but then when dinner comes and I put the plate in front of his table and he does care, that's not my problem. That's not my problem. Okay. And that is the energy that I have embraced. And it's made it so much easier to make dinner. If you don't tell me what you want, then I'm going to make what I want. And if you don't like it, that's not my problem. It's absolutely not my problem. Okay, so those are the two little tips that I have. But again, I have not personally experienced having a child that is very opinionated. So if you are a mom and you have had a child like that, please let us know what has worked for you, where you're not making all of these different meals, because that's also not what I'm sure you want to be doing. I'm sure you don't want to be making 7 different meals. So yeah, we'll just leave that there. The next thing is you don't enjoy cooking. If you don't enjoy cooking, if you don't like cooking, if you feel like you're bad at cooking, then deciding what to eat is obviously going to feel hard because you don't like what you are capable of cooking or what you're capable of making. So I think the reality is that if you don't like cooking, if you don't feel like you're good at cooking, leaning into already pre-made things is going to be so helpful for you and just make things easier, whether that is bagged salads that you are adding rotisserie chicken and a side of bread to, or crackers to, or you're taking frozen meals and you're adding different things into them. That can make things a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable. And then the second piece is you don't have to love cooking to have a basic understanding of how to cook. And if you can give yourself an opportunity to learn the basics on how to cook different things, I think that that's going to make you feel a lot better overall. So don't sleep on that. Even if you're like, I am not a good cook, that doesn't mean that you can't learn, right? It doesn't mean that you can't learn different things that give you those skills so that you do feel like if you want to make something, you can. And then the last thing that I see making it so hard to decide what to eat is decision fatigue. We make so many decisions throughout the day. Sometimes it's just, I don't want to have to decide what to make for dinner. I don't want to have to decide what to eat. I just want somebody to decide for me. I want somebody else to make it for me. Wouldn't that be so nice? Wouldn't that be so incredibly nice? But that's not many of our realities. So if that's you and you feel like, I just hate deciding what to eat, you gotta get your staples. You gotta figure out what are my 2 breakfast go-tos, what are my 2 lunch go-tos, what are my 3 dinner go-tos. So instead of it feeling like I'm deciding from infinite options, I'm deciding from 3. I'm literally deciding from 3. And that makes it a lot easier. Like, I can tell you my breakfast staples that I rotate through right now. I'm absolutely loving sourdough toast with jam and cottage cheese. Doesn't keep me incredibly full, but I have been really enjoying it. And then I will also rotate through eggs and then just a waffle with peanut butter. I love that. For lunch, I will either go to a turkey sandwich and chips, or I will make some kind of salad with chicken and some kind of starch with that, whatever we have. And then for dinner, we always rotate through some kind of taco thing, taco bowl, tacos, burrito. We will rotate through a mac and cheese. Like, we always have mac and cheese stuff. Add rotisserie chicken, frozen peas to that, and then like a teriyaki chicken, rice, and veg. And that's just what we rotate through. And then if I have more capacity to think about something else that I want to make or take the time to make, then I'll do that. Otherwise, that's what we're having. The last thing that I want to say when it comes to feeling like something is hard is that hard doesn't always mean wrong. And I think that sometimes it's so easy to feel like if something feels hard, it means that I'm doing something wrong. And that's not always the case. Sometimes something feeling hard feels hard because you're challenging yourself and you are growing and you're expanding and you're pushing yourself. And that's absolutely not a negative thing. That's a really positive thing because you are leveling yourself up. When something feels hard, though, because there is a misalignment there, like what you need to do and what you're actually doing is clashing, then it's gonna feel like a hard that drains you, and that's something to look at. Or when it's a capacity hard, like you are at your limit and you don't have anything to give to this, that is also something to look at and explore when you're asking yourself, what is making it so hard for me to decide what to eat? Is it misalignment or is it capacity? It's probably going to fall into either one of those buckets. So, all of that to say, just because food feels hard doesn't mean it's because you're doing anything wrong, and it doesn't mean it's because there's something wrong with you. But if you're asking yourself the question, why does it feel hard? It's going to make it feel like it's because there's something wrong with you when there's not. So give yourself some space and time to ask yourself, what is making food feel hard? What is making it hard for me to decide what to eat? To just explore and just get curious, what is making it hard? And that is going to give you answers that you can then take and work through, work on, so that food can feel easier and lighter and not take up so much of your time and your energy. So I hope that helped. And if there's anything that you still feel stuck on, comment below and I will try my best to help you so that food can feel just so much easier, because that is what we want. Okay, so that is all I have to say on that. Now let's move into the second part of our show, where I take a video that you guys have tagged me in and I share my thoughts on what is being said. So today I have a video that I have been tagged in quite a few times, but it's very old. But I thought that this was really relevant to right now, and I just think that this is a really, really important thing for us to talk about. It's also so relatable. So let me play it and then I'll share my thoughts.
I don't consider myself a binge eater. I really don't. I don't binge. I feel like I have compulsions though. I made this. It's a hot chocolate tres leches for a Christmas work party. Brought it. It's about halfway gone. A few bites when I first made it. Didn't have any at the party. But now as I'm sitting in my car, I've been going grocery shopping. You guys, this is where I literally feel like I'm an addict. I don't know if it's sugar. I don't know if it's food in general. I have a compulsion to eat it. Like, I just literally want to shove it, all of it, like, in my face. I've taken a bite. And it literally, dude.
Okay, I know this feeling so deeply. I remember feeling this way. And I also know so many of you guys have shared with me that you felt this way. The very first thing that I would personally ask her is, how often does she let herself have things like this? Because if this is a special one-off thing where she only lets herself have things like this, cakes, cookies, anything, she said sugar, anything sugary that is really palatable when it is a special occasion, then her brain is going to link that to being scarce and that to being rare. So with her having it next to her and she doesn't get it all of the time, then of course there's going to be this urgency to want to eat all of it. Something that I think is so important to consider when it comes to somebody feeling like, I just can't control myself. If she made this cake and she ate the entire cake every single day, made the cake, ate the whole thing, made the cake, ate the whole thing, and not judging herself while she was eating it, like she took a piece and she put it on a plate and let herself enjoy it, and she had that multiple times throughout the day, and she did that every single day, how many days do you think that it would take for her to be like, you know what, I just don't want this cake anymore? A week? 2 weeks? 3 weeks? I don't know. But it wouldn't be the rest of her life. It wouldn't be the rest of her life. It wouldn't be that she does this and there comes a time where she's like, I still feel the exact same. I doubt that would happen, which is why that first question of how often are you letting yourself have this food is so important, because I know that it feels like, well, I can't let myself have this food because if I let myself have this food, then I'm going to eat all of it. You're doing the exact same thing over and over where you're just reinforcing that this is scarce, this is special. I don't get it all the time. And the point is not to be in control. The point is that I am so unfazed by this food because it's not scarce. It's not special. Yes, it's delicious and I enjoy it, but it's not consuming because it's not something that I only get on special occasions. It's not something that I only get when I've earned it. It's not something that I'm eating and then the whole time I'm eating, I'm judging myself for it. So it doesn't even feel like I'm actually getting it and enjoying it and experiencing it. I think those things are so important. Anytime you have something where you're like, I just can't stop with this. What are your other behaviors around this? Are you restricting it? Are you not allowing it? Are you not letting yourself have it? Are you making it where you only get it if you earn it? All of those things are making this food more and more and more and more special. So then when you have it, of course you feel this way.
I don't know how to explain to someone who like doesn't have food issues. Literally have to yell, control yourself! I literally have to yell that in my mind. Called my fiance and I was like, I'm near your work, can I drop it off? I'm literally gonna eat it. Or I need to throw it away. And I felt like guilty kind of doing that. So that's why I called him being like, can I drop it off at work? And he was like, no, no one's here. So I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna throw it away. And it's wasteful, it's stupid, but I can't control myself.
I totally understand this. I know that you listening to this probably totally understand this. When the urge and the impulse is that strong, then it does take something really big to pull yourself out of it, like saying, stop, don't do this. The problem is that if you always have to do that for the rest of your life, it's so draining, which is why I never teach strategies on how to resist the binge urge. Obviously, in my program Beyond Binge Eating, we talk about that. Like if you feel the urge, here are things to do, but I don't spend a ton of time on that because the urge is coming from somewhere. The binge is not the problem, it's the solution. And I know she said she doesn't binge, but the urge that is coming, the desire to eat like this that is coming from somewhere. It's being fueled by something. And so I know it feels so easy to think I need to control myself, but why? What is going on where you feel like you need to control? Because we control what we don't trust. So what is creating the lack of trust in the first place? I will say that by her throwing away the food, which is so real and so valid and I've absolutely done before, the problem is that that's only reinforcing I can't handle this. So the next time she's around this hot chocolate cake or whatever it was called again, she is going to have one more notch in her belt that I can't handle this, I can't handle this, I can't handle this. So what I would recommend to her in this moment is, rather than throwing it away, I know that this feels so deeply uncomfortable, but what if instead you decided to cut yourself a piece for your snack, for your dinner, with your breakfast, with your morning snack, with your lunch, for your afternoon snack, with your dinner, until it's gone. And when you feel this urge to be like, I want more, I want more, I want more, I want more, more is coming. Because what that's going to do is that is going to rewire that belief, I can't handle this, and this is going to prove to herself, wait, but actually I can handle this, even though it's felt like I can't before. Just because you've had this proof that you get chaotic around certain foods in the past, that doesn't mean that we can't rewrite the story. But behaviors like throwing away the food, telling yourself, I can't control this, get this away from me, that's only reinforcing that you can't handle it, which is going to make you feel more afraid of this food. So the next time that you are around it, that is going to come right back up. That's going to be the same story. You know what I mean?
I can't control myself. And the reason why I call it compulsion is because it's not for like every food ever. It's these little specific foods that I love that I have no self-control. Tres leches is one, mac and cheese is one. Sort of like really niche foods, like that are very specific. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like sometimes we post the highlight reel, we post what's perfect, but I am literally sitting in my car battling myself, digging my nails into my palm to not eat a fucking half tray of tres leches. And I don't know what's wrong with me. If you've never had food issues before, count yourself blessed because it is hell.
I feel for her so much. There's nothing wrong with her. There is nothing wrong with her. And if you feel that and if you've been experiencing that, there's nothing wrong with you either. I need you to hear that before I say anything else. There is nothing wrong with her. There is nothing wrong with you. And I know that when you feel this way and you're in the car and you're having these thoughts and you're having these experiences and you're like, why is this so hard? Back to you, back to the self-blame, back to what I was saying before. What does that make it feel like? It makes it feel like this is something about you. And if it's something about you that's making this hard, then that's just how it is, the end. But I would be so curious what would come up for her if instead of asking, what is wrong with me, she asked, what is making it so hard for me to be around these foods and feel safe? What is making it so hard for me to sit down and enjoy a piece of this cake and let it be enough? And I know that the initial first thought that comes up might be because it's freaking delicious. That's why it's hard. Go deeper. Go deeper. Because she said this doesn't happen with every single food. And I'm sure that she has other delicious foods that she doesn't feel this way around. So what is it about these foods? Does she not allow them all the time? Does she have rules around them? Does she judge herself around them? Does she judge herself for how much she's eating? Does she feel like there's only a certain amount that she's allowed to eat, and when she wants more than that, she's doing something wrong? Because all of those things are going to make it a lot harder to feel safe around this food, which is really what we need. She doesn't need to be in control. She needs to feel safe next to that cake because it's not going away. If she wanted to make more tomorrow, she could make more tomorrow. And I know that right now with the holidays, there are so many different foods that you're around that maybe you're not always around. And I know that you're probably eating out a lot more and you're out of your routine. So things can feel really chaotic really fast. I just want you to think about that. Like, I just want you to think about what is going on in your mind when you're eating these foods, because if there is judgment, if there is, I can't have this, if there is bargaining, all of that is going to make it feel a lot more chaotic. It's going to make it mean so much more than it actually means, and it's going to make it feel a lot more special. And anytime a food feels special and scarce together, then you're going to feel like you cannot control yourself around these foods, when the reality is it has nothing to do with control. It has everything to do with trust. Like, it really does. And I know that's so annoying, like the most annoying answer that I could give. But I really want you to just think about that. If you've been feeling so stuck around this and like you can't just control yourself, maybe control never had anything to do with it. So there are my thoughts on that. If there are any other videos that you see that you would like me to share my thoughts on, please tag me in them on Instagram or TikTok. And I just have loved unpacking these. So if you have enjoyed that too, let me know. Okay, now let's go into our very last segment where we just have a little coffee chat and I update you on things that I have been working on and things that I have been thinking about. And today, what I wanted to tell you guys is that something that I have really been reflecting on, that I'm clocking it right now, is going to be my 2026 word, is boundaries. And I know that's so cliche of me to say, but the reason why I've been thinking about that a lot lately is not because I'm having issues with other people, but more so because I'm having issues with myself. I'm having issues with keeping boundaries with myself, especially around work. And what happens when I don't hold my boundaries around work is that it bleeds into all other areas of my life. I will also say that if I don't respect my own boundaries, then how is anybody else ever going to respect mine, right? So it does, in a way, start with us. And so I've been reflecting a lot around what are the boundaries that I need to set in place around me so that I am not spreading myself too thin. What are the boundaries that I need to set around work so that I am not draining myself or burning myself out? What are the boundaries that I need to set around social media so this isn't something that is hurting me? Just really thinking about what are the boundaries that I need to set in general. And I say boundaries because I really think of boundaries as what I tolerate and what I don't versus rules. Rules to me are like what I allow and what I don't. And that just kind of puts me into right, wrong, good, bad territory. And I don't see this like that. I see this as, what do I want for my life? How do I want to feel? How do I want to show up? What do I want Charlotte to see in me? Charlotte is my daughter, for those of you that are new here, and how she is learning how to treat herself. And I just think about like when she looks back and she describes me as a person, what do I want her to say? Do I want her to say my mom always worked? Do I want her to say my mom was always on her phone? Do I want her to say my mom was never there? No, no. And I know it's so easy for me right now, if I'm being completely honest, to have the thought, well, she's so young, she doesn't really notice it right now. But she does. She totally does. And I notice it and I feel it. I can totally feel when I don't have boundaries around things. Like I'm scrolling a lot more, I'm checking my emails all day. Like I don't have any structure. I was in a call the other day and my mentor in there said that structure is what gives you freedom. And I felt that so deeply, especially because I firmly believe that at the beginning of healing your relationship with food, if you have been dieting for years and years and years, or if you have been on the restrict binge cycle for years and years and years, you're not going to be able to just go from instantly doing that to listening to your body and intuitively eating. You are so disconnected from your body. It's just not going to work, which is why if you try to do that, it feels like things are so incredibly chaotic. And so I always say that you need structure first, and that structure allows you to reconnect to your body. That structure allows you to think about food less in your life more. And I've really been thinking about that when it comes to boundaries. Just how can I structure my life in a way where it gives me more freedom instead of me kind of flying by the seat of my pants, doing all these different things that I don't need to do, or me not having an off switch, because that is not the energy that I want to bring into 2026. So, anyways, I've just been really thinking about that. And I really do feel like my word for 2026 is going to be boundaries. I'm so curious for you. What are you feeling like you really want to focus on in 2026? And let me just say, I know that the 2026, let's set some goals, let's reset, can feel negative sometimes. I think of it as this is a really, really great natural time to reflect and realign. I'm not waiting until January 1st to start, and that is the difference. I'm already thinking about it now and I'm already beginning to implement it now. But anyways, 2026 is coming and it is going to be a new year. And I do love a moment of reflection and realignment, which is why I do have that workshop. Don't forget, December 18th, 12 p.m. Eastern. If you haven't registered yet, it is in the description box below, where we are going to be unpacking all of these different things. Okay, that was so much yapping. That was more than you guys needed, but I hope that that was helpful. I hope that you are having the best week. I hope that you are doing well, and I will see you guys soon. Okay, bye.